welcome to another installment of Metalhead Central, the show where I take an honest look at the harder side of music and give it an honest rating. Today, we're going to be heading back into the sludgier side of metal with a bit of a progressive twist as we examine Baroness's new album, Gold and Grey. It was released June 14th on Abraxan Hymns, which is a label created and owned by the band. So, essentially, it was self-released. Let's see how they did, shall we? This is an album that toes the extremely narrow lines between prog rock, prog metal, and sludge metal extremely well. There are times when you think that you're listening to something that might fit well on mainstream rock radio, and then there are times when you think that it's a riff or a guitar tone straight out of the Louisiana underground scene. It's very impressive stuff, and it sticks with you. Now, I had the Kerrang! Track-by-track interview they did with John Baisley, the band's lead singer, open while I was listening to this album, and the insights he gave into the writing process of this were extremely interesting. One word he used over and over again to describe this album was weird. Another word he used a lot was bizarre. And I couldn't agree more. This album is teetering on the brink of insanity, but it's all wrapped up in an incredibly beautiful package. I love the band's unwillingness to stick with conventional sludge or progressive elements. They take those things, churn them up, spit them out, and then recombine them in a way that seems almost like they're creating their own version of Frankenstein's monster, only this is a way nicer monster. The stitches that hold this album together get firmer as it goes along, and by the time you're halfway through, you forget that this album is being just held together, and you begin to look at it as the complete work that it is. With every song on this album, I found myself growing from ugh to, oh, this is really nice. Let me explain that. I would either hear the intro to a song or read John's description of writing the song, and I would go, I'll probably dislike it or I'll probably hate it. But then the song would pull me in, and I just wouldn't want it to end. The band's ability to write twists and turns into their music is absolutely uncanny, and their knowledge of dynamics and musicianship is wonderful. Like with the Corrosion of Conformity album from last year, this one is absolutely brilliant in its usage of instrumental, or as John refers to them, transitional songs. They work extremely well where they're placed, and they aren't overbearing. They tend to come right after the longer songs on the album, which helps the pacing of the overall product. They slow the album down in just the right spots, and the whole thing benefits from it. I also have to praise the lyricism on this album. As much as I don't listen to this band on a regular basis, I have read a bunch of their lyrics, and John is an excellent lyricist. This album is no exception. For instance, on the song Broken Halo, some of the lyrics read, quote, I wouldn't hold my breath and stop the tide. I'd open up my lungs. Let me hold your softened soul in place like a wind that never breaks. That is sheer poetry, and it's something we don't get to talk about a lot in the metal community. Yet another praise I have is in the recording of the rhythm section of the band. The bass and drums on here sound crisp and clean, yet rather raunchy and dirty at the same time. It's a very interesting mix. In yet another instance of the band towing the line between beauty and ugliness, the sound of both of these instruments is just as clear as it is muddled. It really works well within the overall context of the album. All in all, I can't say I find anything really wrong with this album. I guess it kind of goes a little long, and 17 tracks in an hour feels like it's pushing it a bit, but with the instrumental stuff thrown in, the songs feel like they have the room they need to breathe. This is an album I would gladly spin over and over again. It's definitely Album of the Year material, and it deserves a score to reflect that. So, for only the second time in the history of this channel, I'm giving an album a perfect score. Gold and Grey gets 100 out of 100 on the YPS scale. Thank you so much for watching. Click like, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell for more Metalhead Central and the Metal Artist Review Show. Next week, we're going to be making a sharp turn away from sludge metal. We've been kind of going through that for the past couple of weeks, and slam back into death metal territory as we take a look at Memoriam's new album, Requiem for Mankind. I hope you'll join me. You've been watching Metalhead Central, where I give honest ratings to honest music, and I'll see y'all next time.